Let's hop right into talking about quarterbacks. I mean, everyone has their eyes on the quarterback battle this fall, or would have their eyes on if the media could go to practice. But all of the hubbub is about Ken Seals, this true freshman from Texas. Is he going to get the nod opening day to play in his home state?
So from what I had heard months ago over the summer, I had heard that they really like Danny Clark, which after going through Sports Reference, it's been a long time since Vanderbilt had a lefty quarterback. So that would be interesting. But I don't think Ken Seals makes this 24/7 preseason All-American team, whatever it is, without the person writing it having some sort of nod that he's probably going to play, right? Mm-hmm. And I do think that there's a strong likelihood we see 2 or 3 guys in game one. Like I said, my hope is that it would be seeing 2 or 3 guys because we all want to give them a chance, not seeing 2 or 3 guys because we're just getting blown out. But I do think right now, I would say Ken Seals is likely to be the starter. And I think the second, from what I'm hearing, like the second guy to keep your eye on is Danny Clark. But I'm going to say I really want to see Mike Wright play. I don't think you could have such a patchwork offensive line right now without a quarterback who has some wheels. And that kid can run. So I would love to see him at least get a possession and see what he could work with, because if anyone can make the most of a broken up play, it's someone who could run the ball.
Simon, that brings my next questions up, which is obviously going to be going to the basically what can the quarterback do in terms of Ken Seals. There's been a lot of talk about him, obviously, like you just said, but what's been from just the hub you've been hearing, what's been standing out more for him than the other 3 quarterbacks?
So what I hear is limited, and it's interesting because this same thing happened last year. We saw Vanderbilt was in a quarterback battle last year, and this is now the second year in a row where they're not letting media spectate practice. And I understand not doing that in a quarterback battle, but that gives us very little indication of what's going on, right? And I know in years prior to last, when Shermer was the quarterback and that was it, there was no second guessing that, media could come watch practice. Right now, practice is closed. And they say they might be working to find some sort of alternative to get us to go. But from what I know, or from what I've seen, I haven't seen anything, so I can't really give you an answer. But from what I've heard, Ken Seals is throwing like a veteran because he lets the play develop, right? He sits behind the offensive line. He lets the play develop. No, he's not making dumb passes. He's not hauling the ball into double coverage. But he has the decision-making of a seasoned veteran, which I think is crucial, especially in the SEC, because, you miss by a few inches and that's a pickoff. So it's definitely reassuring to hear. But I'm not entirely sure how any quarterback is going to hold up behind, the patchwork offensive line that they're working with.
Well, and that's why I think that for me, it's still going to go back to Danny Clark, because not only does he have that experience having played at Kentucky, so he's had some SEC ball under his belt. He played some at JUCO, and Zach, when we were talking with Jordan a couple weeks ago with Jordan Rogers, he was saying even those 2 guys, Musa and Clark, who's have had at least those JUCO reps, that's more than just coming fresh out of high school with nothing. And so, I was hearing the same thing about Danny Clark starting to separate himself over the summer. So I've been a little bit surprised to see, Seals being the guy coming out of camp who seems to be getting the most buzz, especially because if you look at the recruiting rankings, Wright was a higher rated recruit on most services, but that's a lot due to his dual threat ability, I think, whereas Seals is like a pocket passer. And with this air raid offense that they're going to have, you're going to see someone who is, who has experience in that. Those Texas high school systems are basically the same thing. Yeah. So, but the thing that I still worry about, I think that they need to at least go with Clark or Musa to begin with, just so, like we talked about that offensive line, which is the position group I want to get to next, but it's so patchwork and they're missing so many guys that they need someone who, Clark and Musa are both 230, 235 and can take a beating. Seals is still pretty skinny. Yeah. And so I would really worry about him holding up over a 10-game SEC slate.
One thing I'll add to that quarterback, to what you just said, because I do completely agree, and I think the experience is so valuable. But if you had asked me the same question yesterday, I honestly think my answer would have been different. I would have said Clark. And the reason why it changed overnight is because in today's press conference, I don't think Derek Mason meant to give this away. I think he gave it away accidentally. But while talking about the quarterback battle, he said all 4 guys are playing well. He said he's really impressed with the young guys. Then he was asked a very similar question later on in the press conference. I think he accidentally let it slip, and he said, the older guys just got out of quarantine housing, and he kept talking. So I think he just accidentally slipped out. And if he's saying older guys, that's very clearly the 2 JUCO transfers, Wright not Wright, Clark and Musa. And if Clark and Musa are missing however many days, upwards of 4 or 5 days worth of practice before the first game of the season, I mean, those are crucial practices, as I'm sure Zach could probably attest to. Having a quarterback miss so many practices is not good, but prior to the week 1 matchup.